So let's go over here, and what we're going to do is we will go in here and create a new directory, make directory, and I'm going to call this product categories many too many demo. It's pretty short, right? Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to install, I'm going to do an npm init. One of the things that I think really helps is seeing things quickly, not having to do a ton of boilerplate setup to see some results, not cloning someone else's repository, being able to see some results quickly. So if we end up doing an npm install Sequelize and also Postgres, this is probably all I need for a moment. So I'm going to get these two modules, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a product model and a category model. Make sure that I could create some products and create some categories. So let's open up our editor of choice here. I think I'm really running into some memory issues here. Let me see what's hogging this up. Let's close my browser. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, in my package JSON file, I'm just going to go over here and I'll specify start dev. And I'm going to put a database URL in, and this is going to be Postgres, localhost, and let's call this product categories. It's going to have to be underscore because Postgres doesn't like dashes. Products, categories, many to many. We haven't done this before. And I'll specify nodemon server. So if I go back over here, npm run start dev, it'll look for that server file and it won't find it. Okay, so let's actually put that in. And so what we're going to do here is let's bring in Sequelize. And let's set up our DB by specifying new Sequelize. And this is going to be process environment database URL. That should make that error go away. Nothing really is happening here. And we'll go over here and let's just set up a method. It's going to be a sync method. It's going to be a promise. And this will return db.sync. And we want to make sure, because we're going to be changing our tables, force is true. And if we go over here, we could specify that we're going to sync, then console.log, synced, and we'll just do a catch here just in case there's an error. Saying nothing, synced. Okay. Didn't really mean anything too much here because we have no models. Believe me, that database doesn't exist. That would be a bit of a miracle. And let's go over here, and we're going to specify const user, product equals db define product, And here, keep it simple at the beginning. Name, DB, Sequelize, string. Okay? Again, either one of these things will work, but your DB object does actually have access to the Sequelize object, which just means that if we move this into another file, we're not going to have to require it. So if we end up doing this, we should see that we have an error because this database doesn't exist. So we'll create it. And we'll go back over here and let's just go in here and put in a space. And it'll tell us that it's synced. Okay, good. Sounds good. Let's go in and also create a category. And this is going to be category. By the way, don't make this mistake. I've made this mistake, which means that basically you'll have two models that point to the same table. Doesn't make a lot of sense. It's usually as a result of copying and pasting. But we'll go over here and we'll set up our category. And this should end up syncing as well. Okay. Well, what we want to do here is we're going to seed some data. So let's go over here and we will have a seed function. It makes sense that when we end up seeding, we're going to do a return of our sync. And when we go to seed, we'll do a couple of things here. Let's create a product, and we'll create a category, or in reverse. And these two things could be independent of each other. So we could say return promise.all, and we'll go over here and we'll create two promises. These two promises will be product.create name tennis racket, and we'll do a category, and our category is going to be sports. And just for the sake of argument, let's just pretend we have another category just to make it interesting. We'll call this exercise, right? Maybe a tennis racket could be considered in both categories. So we get down to here. This ends up returning this promise again with promise.all. I like the way that looks. We should have it then with the result. And if I didn't have any errors here, which I have a feeling I do, if this I see. Anything else? No? It says we're synced. Let's just take a look at something. So what happens when you do promise.all, if we would say console.log, and I say result 0. By the way, if you notice that your Sequelize objects have a ton of stuff on them, it's going to be a pretty long thing we're going to get back here. No, because we're not calling sync, which is what we want to call. We want to call seed. All right, so you see all this stuff here. If you just wanted to look at the tennis racket, you could call get on it, which will just give you its attributes. So here's our tennis racket. Of course, if we did a result 1, we could end up getting that. So one of the things we could do here is we could specify that we've got our tennis racket equals result 0. Again, comes back in the order. Okay, they've all those promises have to be successful, or you'll never make it here. This is going to be sports. and this is going to be exercise. Okay? Again, that shouldn't end up changing much. Now, again, if in fact we said that a product was going to have one category, then we would end up doing this, right? We would specify a product belongs to category, right? In its most simplistic form, okay? This allows us, this does, again, I always say this because it's really important. This is going to end up doing two things, okay? It's going to create the foreign key on the product table so the product can belong to the category. And it's also going to say, hey, look, when you go to get a product, you could get that product with the category, okay? But if, in fact, we wanted to go in the other direction and get the category with all its products, a category has many products. Right? Now, I see people get really kind of screwed up with Sequelize when it comes to many-to-many. And Sequelize basically allows you to do many-to-many different ways. Okay? But at least starting out, the most simplistic way to do a many-to-many is to actually create another model. Okay? And if you end up doing that and you create basically your join model, what that allows you to do is not have to worry about any other relationships except for has many and belongs to. Let me show you what I mean. Now, this is not the relationship that I want. My relationship that I want is that a product can belong to many categories, okay? And a category can have many products. So what I'm going to do here is create an intermediate. Okay, this is going to be my join, and I'm going to call it product category. And I'll specify DB define product category. What's interesting about this is that that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay? This is going to create, right now it's not a join table. Right now it's just a table. Okay? Quick question.
Why don't you just say product has many category and category has many products?
Well, where are they going to have, where is that going to be stored? How would you do that? You can't really do it with that relationship. Okay? By the way, Sequelize will let you do something like that. That's what's interesting. Sequelize will let you do something like that, belongs to many, and specify a table where you want that relationship to exist. I like to do it this way. Okay? I get the same result. I get the exact same result. But what this allows me to do, again, someone could make a case the other way around, but what I'm telling you is that for your relationships, okay, belongs to and has many is going to give you everything what you want. Because what you can do here is you could now say a product category belongs to a product, right? Belongs to one product, the product category. A product category also belongs to a category. This is going to end up creating my foreign keys. If I go back and I connect to my database, so if I go and connect to this, okay, and I end up looking at my tables, okay, and I end up doing a describe for product categories, I'll see that it's got the product ID and the category ID, and I'll see that it has the relationship. By the way, I don't like that name because I think, well, I don't know. This is actually, no, this is not going to be, yeah, it automatically will pluralize it. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Okay? Products, product categories, okay. I could think maybe if you wanted to pluralize it here, you could, but that's fine. Let it do what it's going to do. This is the single, and it'll actually end up pluralizing it. So what does this give me the ability to do? Well, what I could end up doing here is I could go over here, and I could now do a return promise.all. And I'm going to associate my tennis racket with both sports and exercise. In turn, I'm actually associating sports with my tennis racket and exercise with my tennis racket at the same time. The way that I'm going to do that is to specify that I've got a product category that I'm creating, and the product ID is going to be tennis racket ID, and the category ID will start off with sports ID. And on the same token, I'm going to take the tennis racket and I'll associate it with exercise as well. And if this is run correctly, and I do select star from product categories, I'll end up seeing that both those ended up getting added. Now, so what I'm showing you is, first of all, you have a pretty easy way of doing a many-to-many relationship. By the way, some of the workshops, they use the Sequelize belongs to many. Maybe there's some advantage to doing it, but under the covers, it's probably doing something which is similar to this.
When you are arguing with yourself about pluralizing, you were talking about pluralizing both words, where it just pluralized.
Yeah, but it really wouldn't, yeah. So in other words,
That's what you were arguing with yourself about.
yeah, like of doing this, but it just would feel really funny to me. And I think I'm just sort of thinking a little bit too much. So what I want to do here is that once these end up getting created, let's actually test this out. So we're doing our seed, okay? And let's go over here and let's do it then. So now we've got some data. And let's go over here and let's run some queries. Let me just give myself a little room to work here. Okay. So what this now gives me the ability to do is I could go in here and I could specify, hey, do me a favor, product dot find all the products. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to look at the results, my products. And let's just go over here, and we'll say console.log products. Okay, we got a bunch of stuff here for our products. Let's make it read a little bit better. Let's go over here and we'll say products for each console.log. Well, let's call it what it is, right? I always give you guys a hard time. It's a product. And let's just take a look and see if we can see those individually. Product is not defined because I called it products. So again, I've got a lot of stuff here, so let me go over here and see if I can use my get. Okay, so here's my tennis racket. Okay, well, let's say I also want to see the categories for my tennis racket. Okay, it's going to be a little bit of a mind bender here. Go slowly. First of all, if I want to get relations, what do I do? Include. Okay? So first of all, what relationship should I include? What's my connection? You got to think this way. What's your connection between product? What is product connected to? Okay, good. Maybe. Let's see. That was it was a good guess. It is, but not for the reason that you might think. Okay? And, you know, notice over here, product category is not associated to product. Okay? So this is what I was getting at before. It's important to make this distinction. Otherwise, I want you to make this distinction before you look at some other methods of connecting objects. When you want to go from a product, okay, to a product category, a product has many. Now, it'll end up getting my product categories from this product, okay? So, again, it gives me a lot of information, but if you look at the data, I've got data values from this product categories. Let me actually just show you what I actually want to show you. I'm going to look at the product, and let's just say I'm going to look at the product categories. Let's do that one more time. So if we look over here, one of the things that happens is that a product, and I do this sometimes, is that it basically puts that relationship as the same name as the model. It's calling it product categories. A product has product categories. So let's go over here, and we can see actually, in fact, there's two of these product categories. Let's just dig a little bit deeper here. For each product, let's actually do a console.log, and we'll specify product.name. Let's just make sure that works. We've only got one product. And for each of these products.name, let's do product categories for each. And this is going to be a product category. And we'll do console.log product category. Say it one more time. Yeah, I just want to make sure I can get that. I think you're right. And yeah, we'll do that, and we'll say .get so we can just see what we're getting back. Okay? This is good. It's good, except what might we like to see? The name, right? So from the product category, you might want to see the name of the category. So this is where things get interesting with the includes. And the thing is, just take it slowly, take it one step at a time. Let's be clear, and this I've actually shown you before. When we do an include, does everyone agree that this is the same as model product category, right? When you just put the name there, it's product category. It's similar to, you know, when we end up doing a type. If we just put the type in here, that's the type. If we give it an object, it'll look at the type property of that object. Puts us in the same boat. Okay? So the way to think about this took me a little while to sort of get, is that a product category has what? Has a product too, but that would be a little bit redundant, right? A product category has a category. And now we've got the category itself, which is going to give us the exercise. So if we really wanted to sort of dig into this a little bit, instead of saying product category.get, we could say product category category.get. And this way we'll see the product name and also the category, the ID, the name. So here's our tennis racket with sports and exercise, okay? By the way, this is also going to, I think, blow your mind a little bit. Let's say that what we wanted to do, okay, the same way that you have a model here that you could query, okay, there's nothing, all it's doing is a bunch of joins. So if we're joining by the category table, What if we just wanted to find the categories, okay, or the products that had a category of sports, let's say? One of the things we could do here is we could specify, when we end up doing this include, that's right. Does everyone agree that this is the same as model? Category gives us the same thing. Let's make sure. And now what this enables us to do is that if we wanted to query on this, we could put a where in here, okay? And we could specify where name is equal to sports. Let's see if that works. It'll give us the same thing with just a tennis racket. Let's really see if it works. Let's put in another product. So this is going to be, we'll do another product, which is a okay. Baseball bat would probably be in sports, but just notice that baseball bat doesn't show up here, okay? But if we wanted to here, and we did this, and we also did this with a baseball bat, we could go over here. Well, actually, let's just put the baseball bat in exercise, which doesn't even make sense. But if we just put the baseball bat in exercise, we're just going to get the tennis racket. We actually put the baseball bat in sports. We end up getting the tennis racket and the baseball bat. There's one last thing that I want to do because, well, actually, maybe we'll end up doing it on Thursday. I wanted to talk to you guys about instance methods because I want you to use them for this weekend project coming up, but we'll spend some time on that as well. Let me pause this so it doesn't go too long and I can upload it.